Okay, hi, this is Ron. I own Mobile Fix Automotive. This is a quick video if you're interested in mounting a set of armrests on a BMW K1200LT. These armrests were purchased from eBay. I want to say they were a little bit less than $150 with free shipping. I think they were like $147. They're for a 1988 to 2000 Goldwing 1500 GL is what they were listed for. They look like they measured out exactly where I wanted them, so I purchased them. And I made a comment on my brake light video that I was going to be putting these on, and a few people had hit me up on email saying, hey, when you mount them, can we please get an update, because they'd like to see the difference between them and some of the other options. Real quick, hi, my name is Ron again. I found out doing some research on this bike. I've had this bike about a month. I'm used to riding Yamaha Venture Royales. I've been out of riding for 17 years. I just started riding again about a month ago. I decided to go with the BMW because it had an electronic center stand. Turned out the entire bike is just, it's night and day. This and a Yamaha Venture is entirely different motorcycles. I mean, this thing is so smooth and so quiet. Doesn't have the power that the Venture has. I think the Venture, because I could do a wheelie on the Venture. Yeah, I pulled the front wheel off the ground. Not big full-on, crotch rocket wheelie, but I could carry the front wheel for five or 10 feet easily on the Yamaha Venture. This bike here, I'm not even sure if I could get the front wheel off the ground, but I'm 20 years older than I was the last time I rode one of these big bikes, so I really don't want to do a wheelie anymore. So real quick, I'm going to show you what I did to mount Honda GL 1500 armrests and why I decided to do this. It became quite evident when I purchased this bike, and I was doing a lot of online research, that BMW seems to have left the aftermarket accessories for the most part up to the consumer to find. They did make a driver, or not a driver, but a passenger's footrest platform, which I have purchased a used set, which are in great shape, but they just didn't make the armrests. So it left us with what I found two options. Neither one of the options I liked. I didn't like the paddles that came off of the speaker, and I'm going to flip the phone around. These armrests here are nice and padded. They're soft. They swing out so the passenger can get on. The paddles seem to bolt somewhere around the seam, and they kind of come up at an angle. And my personal feeling about that particular armrest design was, the more I looked at it, the more I felt it was an elbow rest more than it was an armrest. It didn't seem to give you a lot of padding or comfort or flexibility. And when you're not on the bike, you could either flip them up and block your rear speakers so you can't hear them, which the radio on these things isn't exactly, surround sound to begin with. And so I just didn't like that design. The other design was similar to these, where they did swing out, but I didn't like the brackets the way they were designed, and I really didn't like the price tag. I'm not going to use the names of the companies because I don't want to get into a grudge match with, who's best and all this stuff. All I'm doing right now is showing you what I did to my bike so that you have the option to do this to yours, or you can go with one of the professional manufacturers. The other one that I found, other than the paddle, I call it the paddle that comes off the speaker, is one that bolts to the box here, and it's got a pivot point on it somewhere around here, and it actually just kind of swings up and back is what it looks like from all the pictures. Although I thought $600, $700 was an awful lot of money for a set of armrests. And, that's the majority of what I paid for this bike. So, you know, I didn't pay full dollar for this. It was a mechanic special, and the bike was extremely beautiful when I got it. It just needed a transmission and a rear brake rotor. So I've got that taken care of, but I want my passenger to feel comfortable. So what I've done on this is I bought a set of GL1500 armrests, and I custom manufactured the brackets to fit the 1200LT K-bike. And I'm going to show you the components involved real quick, and then I'm going to show you how I mounted them, because I know you're really interested in seeing that, and you're just going to have to be patient. This is the bracket that you get with the 1500. Once again, if I didn't say it, it's a 1988 to 2000 model year GL 1500 is what this kit was ordered for off of eBay. And this piece and this piece used to be connected. I took a grinder, or not a grinder, but a chop saw, and set the angle on it where I wanted it and cut it. And that's why you see the really rough metal on this, because I'm not going to use it, so I don't care how unfinished it is. On this piece here, once I cut it, I put it on a bench grinder and smoothed it out and made it look really pretty and all that stuff. And then I drilled these 3 holes according to the template that I decided to come up with, and you'll see that here in a minute. The armrest itself fits right into here, and then it swivels. The hardware that I decided to go with was stainless steel, and I went with polished stainless steel bolts, so they look almost like chrome. Actually, they look a little bit better than chrome. These bolts were almost $4 a piece, but I felt that since there's only 6 of them, 2 long ones and 2 short ones on each side, that I could step up and spend 20 bucks in hardware, and it probably wasn't going to bankrupt me. I did use a number, they're all 1/4 inch, the bolts are all 1/4 20, 1/4 20 spacer. It's actually called a union, not a spacer. You'll see this in a minute. This is the spacer that I referred to. This is a 1/4 inch spacer. It's a steel spacer. It's 1 inch long. On the one that's in the bike that you're going to see, I locked this in a pair of vice grips in the center, and then I grinded on both ends at about a 10-degree angle, the same direction on each end, because when the bolt goes through on the mounting bracket, the reinforcement ribs are at an angle, so you have to have that angled like that. And this is the reinforcement bracket that's on the inside of the box, and you'll see this in a minute also. This is just 1/8 inch plate steel that I got, you know, a strip of, and then basically cut it to fit inside the box, and then the holes on it are drilled to match the bracket. So what I really like about this is not only do these things look really, really spectacular on the bike, they're angled almost exactly the way the arms are on my passenger. They're tilted down just a little bit by design, because when the passenger sets their arms down, they actually don't rest them dead straight. They kind of lay them down a little bit, and so I kind of went anatomically correct, or however they say it. I don't know. But let's get to the good part, because this is what you want to see. This is how I mounted these. I removed the seat, which is just sitting here right now, to access the 2 bolts on this panel. There's 1 bolt here, and there's another bolt back here. They're Torx heads, and you can get, when you pull the seat, you can get to them with just an angle Torx. But once this panel is pulled out, this is the volume control panel on the bike. I'm going to get a flashlight so I can make this a little bit better for you to see. Here's what I did. There's a reinforcement plate that I showed you earlier that's right here. There's the 1 inch spacer, which is cut at an angle so that it fits down in there. And when I mounted, when I put the bracket up here without the arm on it, so it looked like this. When I put this up on the bike, this is for the other side, but I'm just using it for illustration purposes. When I put it up on the side of the bike and I clamped it onto the bike, excuse me, with a pair of vice grips, and I had already had the holes in this bracket, so I wanted to drill the holes in the box. I clamped it on with a pair of vice grips, and then when I drilled this hole, the single hole in the rear, this is what I'm going to show you. This is what makes this so strong. BMW already put these 3 reinforcement fins in the plastic. I believe this box is ABS plastic. I'm not 100% sure. I need to check on that, but most of these big bikes, ABS is the strongest of the plastics for these, and they're you can bend it without it cracking a lot. So you've got a 1/4 inch 20 bolt that's 2 1/4 inches long. So the quarter 20 bolt kind of stops about 3/4 the way through this union. So I put the bolt through the spacer, so it goes through the spacer free. I put a washer mainly as filler. I'm trying to get the light. Excuse me, guys. It's dark in the shop. If I don't have a light in here, you're never going to see this. So I put basically just a regular washer as a spacer, and then the union, and I tighten this union down on the 1/4 20 bolt, and I held the head on the outside with a pair of vice grips so it wouldn't turn. I could have used a wrench, but I chose to use a pair of vice grips. Tighten that down, and then when I was done, I took this 1/4 20 bolt that was 3/4 of an inch long, and I screwed a nut all the way up to the head, as far as it would go. Then I tightened the nut, the bolt. I put the bolt into the union and tightened it down until it bottomed out. So the threads on this bolt are touching the threads on this bolt. Then I took the nut and I tightened it towards the bracket, so this direction to your left that you're looking at, and until it tightened down. It did flex this one support fin. You can kind of see it's got a little bit of a twist to it. It's not going to be a problem at all. But now this entire armrest is basically reinforced by all of this inside the box. And that's about as strong as I can make this. So I've been stalling so you can look at this picture as long as you need to. But I'm going to turn my light off here real quick. And I think this is really, really pretty on this bike. The chrome goes with the blue. I'm sure it would go really good with the champagne color, which was the bike that I really wanted. It was a champagne color. This one just kind of fell into my lap at the right price. But I've had these armrests on every full dress bike that I've owned in my lifetime, and I've never owned a Honda. I've had 4 Yamaha Venture Royales, 2 1200s and 2 1300s, and I've always had to modify my armrest to fit. None of my designs have ever failed. And so one of the things I have to say now, because we live in a world where people will try to do something and they fail, and then they call you and they say, you know what, it's your fault because you told me I could do it. And so do this at your own risk. When you drill and cut and fabricate, there's no warranty on this stuff. But you know what? These bikes, none of these bikes are under warranty anyway. You can choose to go with whatever armrest you want. I'm trying to help the people that would love this design because it can be done. I just proved it. I just did not like the other 2 professional designs that were out there. And my wife, who spent who knows how many miles sitting behind me on a bike, this is her favorite armrest. And so why wouldn't I, as a mechanic and kind of a shade tree fabricator, why wouldn't I do everything I can to make my passenger as comfortable as possible? This was the armrest that she likes. Both of my daughters, I have a 15-year-old and a 13-year-old daughter who for some reason I went 17 years without riding, and so they have not been on a bike until 3 weeks ago, and they think it's the coolest thing. My youngest daughter asked me the first time I took her for a ride to Palomar Mountain, she goes, "Dad, why'd you ever get rid of your bike?" And I had to explain to her that when I was involved in my crash in '99 and my oldest son was 3 months old, it changed the priorities in my life, and my wife and I decided that riding wasn't the best thing. If we both got hurt or killed on the bike, that he was going to have to get raised by in-laws or other people, and so we chose to stop riding. And now that the kids are older, I want to get back twisting the throttle, and the BMW K1200LT was the bike I decided to go with. And I love the bike to death, but the small things like armrests and foot pegs and floorboards, the headlight modulator, which I've already installed on this bike. I shot a video for it, but I've got to do some editing on it. My phone rang too many times while I was doing the shoot. And then the brake light pulsator module, which caused the center stand to quit working. I found a way to bypass that and shot a video on that. So if you have any questions, I don't mind talking to people on the phone. I don't say my phone number out loud most of the time anyway, because I found out that the computers will start having salesmen call you. So there will be a phone number at the end of this video. If you need to talk to me or you need to send me an email, you can look me up. Mobile Fix Automotive is online. I have a website, www.mobilefixautomotive.com, and hopefully I was able to help you. If you like the design and you think that it would be good for you, please give me a positive comment so I can tell if I'm helping anybody out. I would really appreciate that. Thanks, and have a nice day. Here's the phone number portion if you need it, guys. Once again, see you on the next video. Have a good one. God bless.